Hi, this is the Arbiter 99 and welcome to my first video. So, what I wanted to look at today and talk about is I've started reading this series which some may know well and but some aren't as familiar with it perhaps yet. But that is Goodnight Punpun. Um, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through. So I've finished the first three English volumes, and I'm about halfway through volume four, and then I've got these three left here. But I wanted to do some initial impressions on it because uh, to say a quick thing now is I really like this series so far. So, yeah, I don't. Let's see where I want to start, but I mean, it's something else. I'll just say that. So, Goodnight Poon Poon is kind of a story where you just follow um, a character named Poon Poon. He's typically pictured as kind of this bird like thing. Um, and everyone else, kind of looks like this. They look like kind of realistic characters in the I really like the art style. It's very interesting to me. um the it still has kind of that manga look, but they're also maybe a little bit more realistically proportioned in many cases. I don't know. It might not matter too much, but for this kind of story, this isn't a shonen or anything with action. There's definitely some tense scenes might happen, but this really is kind of like a following closely someone's life as they grow and as they get older and as they experience it. And basically as you go through, so I believe all these large ones are two original volumes put together for the English releases, and I think the last one's just one because it's thinner. Um, but basically, not exactly, but like every new volume, so like two times per one of these thick books, you kind of see the character's life like 2 years ahead. And then you have a volume that explores his living condition, what his life is like at that time, and what he's going through. And then at the end of that or at the beginning of the next one, it might jump another 2 years ahead. Um, but yeah, so you start following Poon Poon when he's in elementary school, um, like grade school, whatever you'd like to call it. And he's a young kid. He's first learning about like relationships and his interests, and it's really interesting because I if you've read it, you would kind of probably get what I mean, but like in many ways through reading this so far, I feel like there's a lot of ways I can relate to Poon Poon, but that also makes me sad that I relate to him. Um, and you'd probably know why if you start reading it, but it's I don't know what to say other than it. There are some parts that are, maybe very silly, that are seem very strange, but if you think about back to when you were that age and when you were a kid and how you thought about things, a lot of things kind of be like, oh, I could maybe see myself doing that, or maybe I knew someone who kind of acted like that, or I don't know, but it's very interesting. I feel like it has a lot of qualities so far where the story feels very real. Like it feels like, oh, this could be someone's life. Like it's a fictional story, but it feels much more like the relationships are real. The things that happen that maybe interfere with them or cause people's issues, or the issues that the people in the story, the characters, the things they deal with and go through, you can see real world examples of people going through something like that and why those things impact people the way they do. And you see that throughout the story. And, so as you go on, and this isn't actually Punpun here, this is his uncle, but like, he kind of, you kind of see Punpun's family members, like direct family, also kind of drawn in this style. But again, everyone else is seen as more realistic. And like, here's Punpun, I think when he was like just starting high school or something, and then in this volume he's a little older, and so on. So I haven't finished it yet. I still have about halfway to go, and I don't know where exactly it'll go, but all I can say is I'm excited to see where it goes, what happens. But I'm also like, I don't know, it's interesting. I This is one that many people say they have like to just binge through and read it all in one day, and I could very easily understand that. I haven't done that. I've basically read about like half of one of these, so like one of the original volume sizes a day, about sometimes a little more or a little less. But I'm kind of going through it and making sure I'm in the mood to read it. Because something I'll say too is, because of the situations and the life story that you see and how realistic it can feel, at least to me, like I feel like I can relate in some ways to the characters and and like Pun's struggles. Oh, and also I believe he's kind of drawn in this style so that Poon, like, you see all the other characters, but you can almost kind of insert yourself, potentially, or like someone you know, or like who the main character is, like what they actually look like in their world. You don't really know. You just see maybe how he sees himself, perhaps as the bird, or whatever this character is that can kind of change a little bit in different situations based on how he's feeling or how other people see him. Um, but we don't really. Well, it's mainly, I think, based on his internal thoughts and emotions. But so like you don't see a drawn out character to fit the role in his own, in that world, but you see like, just him kind of looking like this, or like, like this, with like simple black arms and legs that are like a stick man kind of, or whatever, and his body's like this white sort of bird like thing with a little beak or something. But anyway, uh you can kind of put yourself in his shoes, and I don't know how to describe it, but um I think it's a very good series so far. But I will say that it has some really kind of heavy moments, and very like, I don't know, there can be a lot of like emotion in it, and some parts have definitely been like very sad so far for me, where like you follow him and maybe you're rooting for him or for someone, and something happens that goes wrong, or someone gets hurt or whatever it is. And because of how the story builds up over time and you follow him closely in a very like lifelike sort of situation, I feel like it's much easier to relate and like care about Poon and maybe care about some of the characters, where they feel kind of real. So you actually, like, when something happens, it's like, oh no, yeah, like I didn't want that to happen, or oh, I wanted him to get the girl maybe, or whatever it is. And I'm impressed by that so far. Like, I really like this series, but I definitely will say, like, it puts your mind through a lot. It's got some real heavy stuff. Like, I could see someone getting depressed after reading this, honestly, and I'm only halfway through. I don't know where it will go. And I'm hoping to do another kind of video where I just talk about it more, once I do finish the series. Hopefully in like a week or so, maybe. or whenever I finish it. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about it initially because I really really like it. And it's oh yeah, there's how he looked for a little while in one of the parts with his slicked hair. But yeah, it's just I don't know, it's different from any other manga I've read so far. Um, and I like my shonen manga. You know, I like Jujutsu Kaisen. I like Demon Slayer. But this is, very much not that. You're not following some fighter or guy who's going to beat up bad guys, but you're following a guy through like a kind of a regular, not quite modern, but like, sort of recent, like maybe last few decades, someone living just in the world and going through their experiences there and facing a lot of the difficulties that many of us face in life, like trying to get our first girlfriend or whatever, or like making a relationship work, like finding where you fit in, finding where you feel comfortable, like being, who you are, what can you do, maybe what's the meaning of life, even, like, I don't know, but I highly recommend it. But it is it is quite heavy at times, and it's very different from a lot of manga. um Both with the style in some ways, with Punpun being like a different style from, and his family being drawn completely differently from all the other characters. And also you have like this guy who's like God or whatever in Punpun's mind, like just looking like that, like some picture of a guy just like on the page, um, who's talking to him, which can be kind of weird, but I don't know, but it all fits together nicely and it ends up all looking, I think it looks great. Especially once you start reading it, if you do find that you get invested in the story, um, then like I think it looks great. The panels are drawn really nicely. The characters, the faces, especially, I mean, even seeing how here's like an outline of Pun's head, but like even seeing how um the author is able to make his simple character like express different emotions through like how his face changes or how his appearance changes is really interesting. um and yeah, for now I'll just say I think it's really great. If you want something that will really make you think about things, challenge your mind with different ideas, and really put you through, like, at least in my mind, a really kind of realistic story and life experience. Um, I don't know if much can come close to the feel of this. I think it's really great. But if you're not looking for something really heavy, something that might make you feel kind of down for a little while potentially, or depressed because of what's going on and how real some things are, then maybe you want to think about that or give it a pass for now. But ultimately, I think it's really great. But yeah, thanks for watching so far, and I'll see you another time.